Welcome back to the Lead Young podcast. I'm your host, Josh, and I'm joined by another one of my cohort members, a senior at NNU and from the Washington area. I'm joined with Isaac Blum.
Thanks. Nice to be here.
Thank you for joining us. My first question to you is why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you're majoring in at NNU, what you're a senior. Tell us a little bit things you like to do, and just let us get to know you.
Sounds good. I was born in Spokane, Washington, moved to Pullman a couple years later, and then I actually went to school over in Moscow, Idaho, over at Logos, which is a classical Christian school there, and grew up in that area, and then wanted to help out with being a part of like a basketball program in college, and so I came to NNU and was one of the student managers for. And this is my senior year there, but it's been a great time, and I'm majoring in business management. It's been a really great experience, and I actually have a brother as well that's here. He's a year younger than me, and his name's Alex. And then Alyssa, she's a high school senior, and then Titus, who's a sophomore in high school. In free time, I like to hang out with friends, have good conversations, play guitar when I can, read books if I'm not doing sports. So,
Nice. What about NNU drew you to NNU? Because you mentioned you wanted to be helping with basketball, but you could do that anywhere. So why NNU?
yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I think I was wanting a place that was somewhat local to home. So it's like 6 hours away from home.
It's not terrible.
Um, yeah, and wanted to be in an environment where I could continue being around other Christians. And it's nice that NNU's 1,500 students, a little bit less, just an environment where I can actually get to know people, and the professors are great with just communicating material and getting to know you as people. And so it was just really great community to continue pursuing God with other people. And yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So did you grow up in the Nazarene church at all? Is that why NNU had any pull, or just kind of a local thing, like you said?
Yeah, so actually my parents actually both went to NNU. That was actually kind of why I was not sure if I wanted to like follow in their steps, but after just being there, like I understood why they went there. And so um, both my parents grew up Nazarene, and so definitely more familiar with that. And I go to Nampa First Church of the Nazarene, really close to school, so it's nice to, if it's nice outside, I can walk there, or I can just drive there as well if it's rainy or something. So it's been good.
That's awesome to hear. And so I've had plenty of discussions with other people about Lead Young and why they've chosen Lead Young. Um, why did you choose Lead Young? Where did you hear about it first, and what kind of drew you in to be a part of it?
Yeah. I had heard from one of my college friends, whose dad is he works at NNU, and he just told me about, he sent out an email to like different people on campus that he thought um, just would benefit from like a strong leadership program potentially. And so I went to the summit, which was almost a year ago,
Yep.
and that was just kind of an introduction to it. And so just through his words of it could be an encouragement and I could grow a lot from it, I was able to get connected and meet a lot of new people and also friends. I know that JD and a few other guys I knew before, so that was kind of fun to reconnect. So
That's awesome. Was there an aspect of Lead Young that you liked, like the mentoring, the coaching, or is just kind of like you want to be in leadership?
yeah, I think over like during high school, I've been able to step into leadership roles, and I think through the encouragement of other people that are older than me, like my high school principal, who was also my basketball coach, was a big inspiration for me to continue stepping into leadership and standing up for truth and everything. And so I think that's kind of been ingrained in me. And so definitely like I know that I was freshman year was pretty hard just at NNU because of all the COVID stuff and masks, and it was hard to not to connect with people. And so I always kind of wanted someone to help me along. And so even though it's senior year, I've been able to just continue finding other people, and Lead Young has helped kind of guide me to people that could be an influence. And so um, my main mentor is Brent Deacons, um, and then and so that's been really great just to have one-on-one conversations about catching up with life and how everything is going, and going through the workbook has been great with the material, just to um, see in areas where I can see God pulling me in different directions of leadership, and to help out. And I think this last or junior year, which was last year, I definitely felt a lot of God's pull to like work with younger kids. And so um, I think the Lead Young course just reaffirmed for me um, just the ability to continue pursuing younger people and help them growing well. And so yeah.
That's awesome. And have you ever had any formal leadership classes? Because you said you were searching for something or leadership program before. Is this kind of your first intro to a structured leadership type thing?
Yeah, I think it was like the main, yeah, it was nice to have like the mentor part and then have courses through NNU, because that was just more focused on you as an individual. I've had some like communication classes at NNU, which have been great, but just very focused, which is great. Um, like I stepped in the role of doing like secretary and treasurer stuff for like my class, but there was no real guidance on what to do for it. And so um, this is definitely more structured and way to just really see areas where like I can look back and see tools that I can use for when I'm having conversations with people. And so that's been great through Lead Young.
That's awesome. And so I just want to go through each part. You mentioned mentor and Brent is your mentor. How have you enjoyed? Have you ever had a mentor before, or is this kind of a new experience for you?
Yeah, I think he's been like the first like mentor focused of um like actually like wanting to keep track with like monthly meetings with me. I've had people that have poured out into me, but it's just been when I see them, or if it's catching up, but it's nothing as intentional. And so that's been really great. And just, he does a lot of listening. I do a lot of listening, but it's just an encouragement just to, I don't know, life isn't easy. And so it can just be refreshing to talk. And, since he's lives a little more life, and he has kids that are kind of my age, it's nice to have that reaffirmation of where I'm going through. And so yeah.
That's awesome. And so there's also an aspect of a coach. Who's your coach, and how does the mentor and the coach differ in your discussions?
Yeah. My mentor is Gary um, Seward, and it's been really good. I guess I think he's my, yeah, I forgot the distinction between them, like the actual which one's coach, which one's mentor, but um, I know that just like Gary, he's more of this a person that I can just talk to about life and get feedback from. Brandon is more the person that um, has more of that, I guess, spiritual background of he's a pastor and he's had a lot of experience, and so he can kind of give more guidance directly about things. And um, like he would work through the book with me, and we would talk about it. Um, and then Gary would just be more of just another person just to bounce thoughts off of and just encourage me. And so that was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Have you? So you got to read a book through with your coach, and we have the monthly packets that we have to go through. Have you enjoyed the monthly packets in the book at all? Has it been repetitive to you, or is it like there's things that you can pull from it that you really are enjoying?
Yeah. Um, I think I think there's like certain chapters that have like, I don't know, when I've read it, it like makes me think a lot. And I think it's super good. But nothing really, there's like the last chapter which talks about like your fears as a leader, and that's great to think about. But I think just as a whole, it's just all encompassing about what where you're headed as a leader and just things to keep in mind because we all have influence and it's just kind of seeing where God's pulling your heart. Um, and I think just the curriculum has just been um, just helpful and just in cleaning off the edges of where I think I'm going to be headed. And so I think nothing really has stuck with me specifically, but just as a whole, it's just an encouragement to keep praying, keep seeking God out, um, because even when I can't see the doors that are opening yet, He will in time. And so it's just trusting and going along with what you know and going along with other people.
Mhm. And so the last part of it is the classes, and you're already an NNU student. And so, how does the classes fit into your already busy schedule? I mean, seniors are notoriously busy their last year. And so, how did you fit that into your schedule with everything else that you're doing on campus?
Yeah. Um, for most semesters, I've taken almost 18 credits. This last semester, though, because of just taking that much before in the past, I'm only taking 6, which is a huge relief. Um, but like first semester, like we were starting it up, it was pretty tricky, but um, you just have to just focus and since there's an opportunity to do evening course on Tuesday nights currently, and then Thursday mornings. I had a night class on Tuesday, so I couldn't do the evenings, but the just like the sessions have been good. Definitely have to be more disciplined on getting to sleep on a good time, but um, since it's only like an hour, it's nice to just have that reoccurring 1 hour thing for every 4 weeks, and then take a break and do it again. So um, it's you have to kind of balance your time well, but it's been good, and I can still see friends and do other things, which has been great.
I'm glad you've been able to time management and not been stuck to the
Yeah,
busy schedule. Is there something
thank you.
classes have kind of stuck out to you or you've been able to use on a weekly or monthly basis? I mean, typically we have a session and then we have like homework really. It's like a 300 words response about practicing what we had learned in class. And so typically I know for me, I'll be very intentional that particular week about whatever the topic is. And then next week you focus on something else. So do you see yourself in whatever you're leading, being able to use those things even on the weeks you're not supposed to be writing a response on those things?
Yeah, I think it definitely there was one that I believe Dave Covington wrote about or talked about last semester, and it was just his he just talked about like that like if we're looking at someone and we're having a conversation, like by the way that they articulate things and how they compose themselves, like they're gonna have a lot of um, influence on just like if they look sad, then they're gonna probably also kind of imitate them just to like reconnect with them, and if they're happy, then you're probably gonna be more elated, and so just kind of being aware that like how you show yourself is gonna wear off on the other person. But I think what he talked about last week, which was the how might we questions, I think is huge. Just about like a group effort, if you're having a conversation with someone or there's a problem, it's just figuring out together how might we go about this. And so I think just overall, just small reaffirming things about being aware that um, how you conduct yourself and the way you do things always will impact people. And so I think those are like the two that have really stuck with me. But as a whole, like it's just great to have that every week. So
That's awesome. And so how are you leading either on campus or in your local church? Where are you leading? What are you leading? Can you talk more about that?
yeah. So I'm a student manager for the NNU basketball team. And so I get to be with like the players in the locker room and the weight room, but also help coaches in the office. And so I think kind of just be like a middleman and kind of help out where I can is great. Student council. I'm also an RA, on campus. So I help out with student life and just helping the specifically juniors and seniors, just with anything that they need before the school year ends. And then I help lead a men's Bible study group on campus. I started a sophomore year, and um, we try and meet every Sunday night before the school week starts, and that's just encouraging. And so we just read a chapter a week and then talk about it, and then talk about anything that's kind of bugging the guys, and then we pray over it. And it's just nice to have that. And so I think with the leaders, with the lead young concepts, I think it's been more encouraging just to um, see that I can use that in my just daily discussions with people as well as with those weekends with the guys.
That's awesome. And what do you go over the Bible study? Is it a topical Bible study? Is it just are you reading through a book?
Usually we try and read like part of a chapter from the Bible, just at the beginning, kind of like a devotional, and then we'll go into the topic, which we're going through a book. It's um, blanking on the name of it, but it's targeted towards one of the chapters, I think in First Corinthians, talking about like different attributes of like godly men, and so it walks through like each attribute every week, and so we're talking about a few weeks ago is like perseverance, and then like dignity is another week, and so it's just kind of just focusing on what are good attributes that men that fear God and honor women and children should behave and everything. So it's good um, just to reaffirm for the guys and for like myself what's a good person that's pursuing God look like. And so that's kind of what we try and do.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. And so you mentioned that you're trying to help juniors and seniors, and you yourself are a senior, so you're in a big spot of transition. I mean, you're not only about to graduate from NNU, but you're about to graduate from this Lead Young program in April. And so I guess it's a twofold question. A, where do you see yourself after NNU? What does the next year look like for you, in your opinions, your dreams? And B, what does after Lead Young look like? Where does Lead Young lead you, and where do you want to use that to propel yourself and where you're going?
Yeah. Um, yeah. I think like, well, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to be doing, like job wise after schooling. So just doing a lot of searching, a lot of prayer. But I know I'll be in the area. Um, I didn't tell you last, I guess a few weeks ago when we met, but I actually recently got engaged. And so,
Patience.
um, thanks. And so the plan is to get married beginning of summer. And so, um, her name's Olivia, and she'll be a fifth year at NNU, so we'll be local just so she can finish up her second degree, and she runs for NNU, so she'll continue doing that. Um, but I think related to that, like I've always just wanted to continue growing with people, like spiritually, just because I think it's super important for how you do life in general. Like there's all these different aspects, but I think spiritual is super key to how you continue going strong. And so I think with the Lead Young program, I love to just continue using tools that I've been equipped with, just to continue leading small groups with people, or if not, just have meals with people on the weekends and just engage discussion and just encourage them to continue pursuing God and other people. So I think, yeah, that's the general trajectory of where I'm headed. So,
Mhm. Is there a type of job you're looking for? Because you said your majors in business, and so you can do almost anything. Is there something you would want more than others as far as the job market goes, or are you just looking for anything and where God calls you?
um, this last summer I worked in the food industry doing warehouse operation stuff and analyzing what things went wrong and why they went wrong. And so that was a lot of fun. But I'm not sure if I could do a whole lot of late night hours. That'd just be kind of a lot, but anything that just works with people and the operations of a company, and um, it'd be cool to like do something with like sports too, but um, it doesn't really matter in a sense. So just a place where I can continue growing and help other people grow, and um, it's nice to see that if I can help with productivity of solving issues, that's always cool. And um, so nothing in particular, a new industry, but um, yeah, just something that would where I could fit in and help out, I guess.
That's really cool. And so, in my interview with Kenton and Scott and Brent, they talked about what Lead Young was and how it's grown and whatnot. And originally, it was supposed to be a 4-year plan, and so obviously that's changed. It's become a year plan. And Kenton talked about people wanting, if they want to be in Lead Young and participate in it, even after they graduate in April from the summit, that they can do that. And he wants, his dream, he said, is people able to maybe come back and mentor, just be involved and go to programs and just grow at this Lead Young thing. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, you said you'll be local, so you'll have a better chance at being involved in that than, say, someone else.
Yeah. Um, I think I love the idea because it's just even though like the next people will potentially, I mean, I guess it's kind of a broad range of ages, like
Mhm.
18 to 35 or something. But I think just continuing to like impact and like help out the new people, like it's not really generational, but it seems kind of like it, which I think that's super cool, and I think that's important, just for like a church as well, just like imitating that aspect. And I think, yeah, since I'll be local, it would be cool to, I'm not sure if it'd be like I could be a potential mentor or if it's just someone that I could just get coffee and just talk about life or something. But I think it's a good idea. Not sure what it would look like. But I think it would be cool to continue just building up people that are encouraged to continue leading well. And so, yeah.
Yeah, that's and he also, I'm just curious and asking everyone. We've been through the process, the gatherings, the classes, the mentors, coaches. What were your thoughts on the gatherings? How they're structured? How many of them? Did they help you at all? Did you like them?
Yeah. I I like them. Um, I think it's cool that they bring in just a speaker that um, has been in the area and been influential in the church or just an area of life and where they've seen God call them out, um, and just see that God's working. Um, um, he's always on the move, so to speak. I think it's nice to have the breakout rooms to like discuss different topics. Um, it'd be nice to have worship potentially. That'd be cool every time because I know we had it at the summit. Um, I don't know. I think sometimes there's dead space, but I think it's filled up though with lunch and conversation and um, yeah, I think it's nice to have it for like 5 or 6 hours and have people engaged for a lecture or two and then continue on. So
That's cool. You talked about you like solving problems, what went wrong, how you can change those things. So if you can look back on the first cohort of Lead Young, what are some things that you liked about it? What are some things maybe you didn't like about it? And what would you change about it? If you could change and talk to Kenton directly about changing some of the
hmm,
things, what would you change?
it's a good question. Um, I think what I liked about like the initial summit and that kind of caught me just to want to be a part of it is just I think Kenton Lee is just real heart just to serve and to have people stay connected because I think he was a part of the NNU program and Um, I'm not sure if I don't think he was the chaplain, but he was definitely influential in the NNU aspect, and so I think just his attitude towards it all and very humble and looking to serve. Um, and I think just I'm always looking for ways to continue growing. I know that God can use open doors like of my heart, and so I think that was just I didn't know how I'd work out with classes, but I was just trusting that I can make it work. And so I think just having him at the helm, leading it was great. I think having mentors every month is really nice to have. I do think more meetings with each other would be great. It's just hard though to have everybody's time match up, but I think yeah, because I don't know, I wish I would have gotten to know you more, Josh, and other people. But um, I don't think it's over necessarily, but I think more meetings, and I think yeah, even more guest speakers. Um, 'Cause they had the Wesley conference at College Church. So I think something more like that with um, more speakers and everything. But I think it's just important just to meet together, and so more of those meetings would be great, I guess.
Everyone I've asked so far is a unanimous more gatherings and more meetings. And so I hope whoever is the next cohort gets more of those in that. And so what would you say to people listening to this, thinking about this Lead Young program? Maybe they're not convinced on signing up, or they just want to kind of know a little bit more. So, what would you say to that cohort two that's about to go through a similar program? I mean, there'll be some changes from what I'm talking to Kitten and Brent have mentioned that the coaches are going to get more training for them. They're going to get classes and stuff. So I think the coaching's been good, and it sounds like you agree with that. And that it's going to be even better for these next people. So what would you say to that second cohort? The people on the bubble kind of thinking about doing this thing and maybe aren't confident yet.
I would say I would say if you're willing to learn, willing to trust God with potential to grow, potential to do something new, and if you I don't know, I didn't think I would have time to be a part of this because it's a lot of schooling, but I think you'll be blessed to be a part of it, just with people that really care about you. And you'll go through curriculum that is just helpful just to continue. I think for me, it's just tools wise, just to reflect back on. And I think that you'll be blessed a lot and God will provide through it. And I think that just kind of like the whole entire thing is just kind of seeing if you feel or just see that the call of God on you is slightly different than you were thinking before. And I think Lead Young will help clarify what God's doing in your life and other people's life. And I think it would help you a lot to be a part of a program like Lead Young.
That's awesome. I couldn't say it better myself. And so on that, you talked about making your calling more clear. Do you feel like your calling is more clear from when you started to now? And there's certain aspects of Lead Young that kind of helped out, or maybe reaffirmed it, or what's more clear now?
I think I think there's nothing new and revolutionary into what I was thinking about in the past, but I think for me it was just seeing that God will provide when life's uncertain, but also in what I know is true, um, and that people need to continue growing spiritually. And I did feel more convinced that um, I could be a part of helping God's kingdom grow. And so, yeah, the reaffirmation part through Lead Young was like the main thing. Um, yeah.
That's awesome. I'm so glad that you got that and that opportunity to, especially you were able to balance the whole school thing and Lead Young. I mean, it sounds like you were pretty happy with your whole experience. And so we talked about 4 year, we talked about the gathering, Lead Young as a whole. Um, Kenton is on his way to present this kind of stuff to districts across the country. And so, do you have anything else you'd want to say to like district leaders that might be listening to this or pastors? Has your pastor at Nampa First Church been supportive of this or been any integral part of Lead Young? Um, and just talk about the local church's involvement in being a young adult.
Yeah. I think my church has been super supportive. Just with like, I don't know, I feel like whenever I go to church, at Nampa First, as well as like my fiance's church in Boise, they're just real affirmative of just people's hearts within the church to continue serving other people, whether it's in the church or outside the church. And I think continuing to build that strong leadership within the Nazarene Church and local churches is just super great. And so I think generations, I think older than us, have been helping us, and I think that if we can continue growing the younger people, like we'll just have a great generational leadership. Um, and so I think Lead Young could be a really influential piece to all churches around the U.S. Just with having that just simple kind of program, just meet up and worship God, and then have a mentor and someone you can talk with and engage with you about your calling. And so I know there's been, I think, a lot of money put into this so far, and I think that's blessed me a whole lot, and I think it'll continue to be a blessing to those that it can um, impact. So
And I just want to hear your opinions on the local church. How can the local church come alongside young adults through these times? I mean, like you said, 18 to 35 is such a wide range of people going into college, people dropping out of college, people graduating like yourself, married people, single people dating in relationships. In your opinion, what can the local church do to support, love on, accept, allow these young adults to be the church of today?
that's a that's a great question. Um, I think just continue um, to be supportive of younger kids, and like I think there's a lot of like doubt and questions these days with kids. I've gone through a lot of doubt, but I think having just people that are willing to reach out to me and willing to um, have me over just to hang out, or just to be a part of. I think like Sunday school classes are great, or just something where they can just be a part of growing together just personally. And so I think just having that support of people that actually are willing to step out of their comfort zone and come alongside me, I think is huge. I think just a lot of things that are just people are just confused about these days about everything and anything. And so I think just having that support will be a good peace of mind to kids. And I've been blessed by it, and not other people lack it. And so I think continuing to have people that are in the church to reach out, and it can be kind of intimidating, but I think I've been blessed a lot, and I think it could help a lot of the other younger kids.
That's awesome. And Kenton talked about this vision of 100 leaders in the church. Obviously, we're the first batch of those leaders in the church. So, what leadership opportunities do you have in the church right now? What are some that you want to be part of, especially as you get to graduate and you might have some more time on your hands, which is especially helpful in volunteering? Where would you like to see? Where are you helping the church now? Where would you like to help in the church in, let's say, the next year or so? And obviously your fiance and your wife will eventually your wife will become a team in that. Where do you guys see being leaders together in the church?
Yeah. Um, I help out primarily with when they need help at with like sound booth at Namper First, and so I can help out with that. But I know I know something that Liv and I have talked about is just having, like I mentioned earlier, like it's like having couples over or new people at church just over for like dinner once a week or something. Like I think just having communion in a sense, over food and water and just having the fellowship, I think is will be, I think, a nice outlet. I know she'll be busy during the school year, but um, I think being involved with like youth group or some kind of group study, um, I think ways that people can, in areas where people like go out and whether it's evangelize or just give people resources that are helpful for their needs. I think primarily though, just building communion within the church and people that are eager to just see what God's about within the church. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And as we slowly wrap up a little bit, what would you like to see Kenton and Scott's and Brent's vision? Their vision was a 10-year plan. How do we develop these leaders in 10 years? Where would you like to see the church in 10 years? It can be Lead Young, it could just be the general church. Maybe it'll be your local church. But where, if you could control and manipulate time and space, where would you like the church in 10 years? What would the church look like? You talk a lot about meals, inviting people over, but where would that church look like?
yeah, wow. I think I think just what I've kind of mentioned is just people that are continuing to reach out to people for their needs. I think I don't know, there's lots of areas where there's lots of needs. And ultimately it's spreading the gospel. Um, and so um, as some of those, I don't know, from what the experience that I've had with younger kids though, I think that's kind of where I've been led. But I think having places, I've been blessed with the program when I was in high school. It was called Worldview Academy, and it was just equipping kids with like the apologetics of why to believe in Jesus and why to believe in the Bible. And I think just I think having seminars or just things where whether it's hosted at churches, but just where people can come and hear why the gospel and why Jesus Christ is like the only way to truth. And I think just equipping people with um, the reality that there's so much evidence for God, but there's just people that try and dismiss it. And so I think just strengthening people in their beliefs about why they believe and trust in God's word, I think that would help and benefit um, just everybody.
Yeah, yeah. I couldn't agree more. I mean, people need to know why they believe. I am curious. You keep mentioning the meals, which I agree with you. Meals are a great way to get to know people and talk to people and whatnot. And I know that was instilled in me from professors I had. Is there a reason that that was instilled in you? Is that parents, mentors, teachers? Did someone kind of feed you on a weekly basis? Was that part of your story? I would love to hear more about that.
Yeah. Um, when I grew up, my family would usually have people over. I thought it was kind of weird. I don't know, like there's new people at church and they'd be like, okay, well, I don't know them. Um, but I think looking back, I think I can see that now we're like good friends with them. And I think that's just something simple. And I think it just kind of takes you off the edge, whether they are a Christian or not, just to have that fellowship. Um, there's there's a couple different people on campus that I've had conversations with, and one of them's planning on getting married, and they've talked about having meals as well, like putting aside specific parts of their income just to have available to support other people and with meals and having them over to their house. And so I think it's just something simple, and um, it's a way to interact with people. So yeah, that's a great question though. But yeah,
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, that's what I had a teacher that she would do in a class from 6 to 9, and she said to us the very first class, I know the cafeteria is not all that great. Once a month, you come in here, don't eat dinner, I'm going to feed you, that kind of thing. So
Yeah,
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, food just lets people, for whatever reason, to put down people's defensive, especially if it's good food. So
so true.
does that mean you're a pretty good cook and you enjoy cooking?
I I'm decent, if it's simple. But if I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot of cookbooks, but I don't know, being in college, like something simple, follow the instructions on mac and cheese. I don't know.
But,
Yeah, yeah.
well, thank you for joining me. I'm appreciative of your time. Glad that we've got to meet through Lead Young. Um, Summit's coming up, so if people listening to this or thinking about come to the summit, um, come sign up. It's a great program. I hope that Isaac's testimony has helped you maybe make a decision either way. But it sounds like Lead Young's not going anywhere, so 2024 is not the year for you, but clearly you can do it. If Isaac's a senior in college, that you can make time for it too. So thank you, Isaac. I appreciate it. Do you want to say anything else before we sign off here?
Mm. No, just whoever is listening, just continue seeking after God, even when you don't see Him working, because He'll pull through and keep working hard, have fun, enjoy life, and love other people well.
That's a perfect send off. Subscribe, follow us on social media, follow the podcast. Thank you very much for listening.